Hello, developers. I am back again to answer a quick question I got through YouTube. This is a question that I had regarding from Brownie Cart, who says, "Hi, Brett. I have a question. If I want to send a certain piece of info, for example, a user ID, to every single route, is there a simple way to do it, or do I have to do res.send user ID for all routes?" And so let me show you, there is an easy way to do that. And actually you have the information already there. So I have brought up our project again. I have spun up the server and um, I logged in. So I went to Insomnia or Postman and I logged in and was able to log in and register and logged in. So everything's up and running, everything the same way that you're familiar with it. And so let me just show you when we create. So let me start it back at the beginning. Let me go to server. So we have in our server the only endpoints that are not restricted are when you first either register or log in. So when you register, so if we go to our auth routes, we have just two endpoints here: a registration route and a login route here. And so when you register, that obviously puts you in the system, database. You were adding a user to the database, and then when you log in, then a token is generated with your information. So let's go look at this generate token file right here. Generate token. And when we create a token on our payload, we include the user ID and the username. And you can put any other information in here that you have access to, and that'll go into the payload, and that'll be available to any route that uses that has access to the token. So when we log in, we generate a token, and this token is an object that contains this payload with user ID and username, and it expires in a day. And so let's go back to our server, and so now we say, except for registering and logging in, thereafter, any other route you wish to use on my API here, you have to go through this check, this restricted middleware that we wrote. This ensures that you're logged in, that you don't have access to these resources here, these endpoints, these resources, unless you're logged in and you have a valid token. So any of these endpoints here that use this restricted middleware, they have access, providing that the token is verified properly. They have access to the information stored in the token, and the information stored in the token was ID and username. Okay, so our restricted middleware that we wrote, so we have this restricted middleware right here. Let's go look at the restricted middleware. And what we do is what the restricted middleware, what any middleware does, is it sits in the middle. It's a callback, and it sits in the middle. It sits in the middle, literally in the middle here, on the way to this endpoint. And it says, I'm going to do some stuff in here, and if everything checks out, I'll let you go through. If everything doesn't check out, I won't let you go through. Everything could check out, and I'm going to add some extra information on here for you. You can do that too. So let's go look at our restricted middleware a little bit deeper. So what we're doing is we're saying, grab the auth headers, and if you remember, if we go to a endpoint that requires you to be logged in, we had to copy our token and stick it into our auth headers. I think I just used, so for instance, this is no longer registered. This is a get of all users. So basically when you logged in, we had to copy your token and then we had to go and put on the headers the authorization and paste that token in there. And so now what our middleware is doing is it's grabbing that token that it's grabbing this token right here that we stuck right there off of the auth headers, and it's sticking it in a variable, and then coupled with the secret, then it attempts to verify it, make sure it's valid, and it does this validation thing. If it doesn't, then it stops the show right there and you can't go on to the endpoint. But if it verifies and it's valid, then what does it do? What it does is it sticks the actual decoded token information. It's no longer jumbled up in this crazy looking string. It decodes it and sticks that object on the rec object, and we're calling it here decoded token. You can call this whatever you want, but decoded token, whatever you call it here is whatever you call it here. So you can name this whatever you want. And so now any route that uses our restricted middleware has access to rec.decoded token. And you could console log this. Let me prove it to you. So let's see. So let's look at these routes. All these routes have access to that decoded token object. Let's just go to the user route. Let's go to the user routes right here. And we're just getting all users. You know what? Let's just console.log decoded token. Just to prove to you that this middleware makes available to you this information. And let's save that. And so now if I do a get, if I activate this endpoint, I should get a console log down here. So let's go run this endpoint, which is right here. It's a get to API users, which is what this was. API, let's see, server. API users right there. And that's it, because it's the home route. And then the first thing should run that console log. So let me do this, and I've registered and I've logged in. I copied this token, and I'm going to paste it right in there like I've done right there, and I'm going to hit send. Decoded token is not defined. All right, let's go look and see what that says. Decoded, rec.decoded token. Rec.decoded token. Whoops, there we go. Yeah, because the restricted middleware puts it on the rec.body, so it's rec.decoded token. So let's now hit that endpoint again. Boom, we got all information. Let's go look for a console log and look at decoded token. Look at ID 9, username Megan. So, Brownie Cart, to answer your question, if I needed to have access to that ID, I could create a variable right here where I say, const or let or whatever, const ID equals rec.decoded token.id. And then why did it do that? I hate when it tries to get too smart. And then let's just console.log ID. And ID. Hit save. And let's try to predict what the ID should be. I think I'm logged in under ID 9 here, under Megan. Let's make sure EY, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm logged in under Megan. Let's make sure. Megan pass 1, 2, 3, 4, right. So I should get a console.log of 9. All right, let's go and do that get again. Do that get. Let's look at the console log. And there we are, ID of 9. So Brownie Cart, you have access to the ID. You have access to the username. You have access to anything that you choose to put in your payload when you create your generate token. Any of these routes has access to rec.decodedtoken.id or rec.decodedtoken.username, either of these. So hopefully that answers your question. That is the quick and easy way. You can also create other middleware. You don't just need to create one. If you wanted to create more middleware that did something just like that, you could do that, and then you would just stick the middleware right after that one. You can stick multiple middlewares in here on the way to your final destination. Hopefully that answers your question. Please, anyone, feel free. If anything is confusing, please reach out, and I do my best to try to answer in a timely manner. Okay, until next time.